for those of the people in the audience that don't really know your journey, your background specifically, how you and Grant got together, how this whole thing has kind of evolved into this amazing thing, kind of give us the, play-by-play here for a few minutes and just let everybody know what the come-up was like here.
Okay, so, well, just briefly a little bit about myself. I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. When I was 17 years old, I moved to Los Angeles to become an actress, a model. At 17 years old, I knew no one there, but I had it ingrained in myself since a very little girl to be this strong, powerful, independent woman, never depend on anyone, but especially a man, never depend on a man for anything. So at 17 years old, I set out to Los Angeles and whatever, had my ups, my downs, but I was moderately successful. Now, cut to, I never wanted to be married, actually. I never thought I wanted to have kids. I've always been, and then I'll move on to the play-by-play, but I've always just I've always been this tomboy. I've always associated more with men than women. So I worked on cars, hot rods. I was ranked 10th in California for shotguns. I shot, so I was always just thought men and relationships would hold me back in life. And so what happened is I had created that scenario for myself over and over and over to make myself right, that all men hold you back and never depend on them and never need them and whatnot. Cut to, now I'm 30 years old. I wish, but back then. Cut to, I'm 30 years old, and I finally get with Grant, and we end up getting married at 30 years old. 4 years later, we're in this relationship. I never really understood what a relationship was, the benefit of it. I just thought you love somebody, you're monogamous with them, and you just, you live. That's really all I knew about it. But the problem is in the relationship, I was still carrying with myself this, be the strong, independent woman, never depend on a man for anything. So for the first 4 years of our relationship, that was the game I was playing in our relationship. So I was vying for this male-female sort of power position with him. So I was creating in my life, doing my thing, and he was doing his thing, but then we'd come home and have this sort of power struggle. Mm-hmm. And that was our game. That was our big game, and I'm good at that game, But it was finally in 2008, I was at the end of my acting career. I was now 36 years old. That's very old in Hollywood. I was pregnant with our first child. The economy collapsed, and I was forced to look at a few things. We were terrified. I'd never seen Grant scared, ever. He was really scared. And so that was a moment where I was forced to confront some things, and I had a very big decision to make at that time, which was, I'm going to trade in this acting career in order to trade up for this idea. That was the birth of the idea of what does this mean to build an empire? What does that look like? So I had to battle with the demons inside of my head, which were 1 million women's faces around the globe that were going to disown me if I gave up my thing to go support a man, But on the other hand, I had this thing where if I actually supported him and brought all of my superhero powers and assets and what I can do well and understood how to actually get beside somebody to actually support the goal and the mission, could we actually achieve this heightened level of success together? And could we actually build and have this thing, which we do have now, called an empire? But at the time, it was a very bold, very scary, very risky move. But as I say, find the one you trust and build an empire. Well, Grant was the one I trusted, and he, didn't let me down. So it was a bet that was worth making. But had it not worked out, my plan B was this, knowing this about myself. I knew at that time when I made that decision, to go all in on a guy, I knew that if it didn't work out, because I had all those other voices too, where it was, oh, well, he's going to cheat on you, and, you know, he's going to go for a younger woman, or, oh, how stupid are you? You're going to give up your career, and then what are you going to be stuck with? I mean, this is, I don't know if there's any other women out there that have this, but this was a real thing for me. And I just looked at it, and I was like, thanks, there are women, you have that too? Okay, so this is a real thing for women. But I looked at myself and I said, you know what, I come from the streets in New Orleans. What's the worst thing that could happen to me? I could be humiliated. I'm like, okay, I did that on my own, okay? I can deal with that. And then I looked at like, look, dude, I was 17 when I moved out by myself and took care of myself. I'm not a victim. Nothing happens to me. So if this thing doesn't work out, the worst thing is I look humiliated, but I don't lose in this game. I pick myself up. I will find a way to survive. I will find a way to flourish. So it made it an easy decision to me. Now, cut to, all these years later, I've come across a few things where I've learned, wow, like I thought I needed to be the strong, independent woman, never depend on a man for anything, but I could only go so high on my own. And that was a lie that either I have been indoctrinated with, or we've all been indoctrinated with to some degree. We've all been taught this solopreneur, you can do it on your own. You can't. You can build an empire. You can't build an empire on your own. So what I learned out of all of that, and then I'll let you get to your next question. What I learned out of all of that is, you know, that alone was such a hold down for me, because the power of allowing somebody to come in to help you where you cap out. You cap out. Everyone can only go so far on their own. And for me, now that I've been married for 18 years together with the man for 20 years, what I've learned about a marriage is my partner is there to where I cap out. They're there to help me reach a heightened level of success. And that is the entire purpose and why Grant and I do so well. And why we continue to remain in love with each other is because for us, what love is helping each other reach our goals and our dreams. And so when he's helping me and I'm helping him achieve those goals, we fall more in love. And it also forces us to have each other's back and to be fortified, because that's now the target. Those are the enemies. Those are the big games that we're going for in life. I don't need to be small and play these small-minded, I'm going to beat my husband in the battle of the wits of whatever.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So, out of all of that, which is so ironic, because I never thought it was going to be a man to make me realize this, but I really found my strength and power as a woman through what I have been with and experienced through a man. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a ton there. One of the things that I really want to talk about, and I know you're passionate about it, I'm extremely passionate about it, is, you know, that inner voice, right? And how it can steer you one way, or it can steer you the other. And how have you learned and come to figure out how to listen to the part of your brain that you need to be listening to? I mean, the inner talk is a very real thing. There's a lot of people in here that I guarantee you, they're just listening to the wrong voice. How have you been able to, you know, study it, understand it, and help other people get to a place where they're listening to the right voice, right? They're focusing on the right things.
There's so many parts of that, and I still battle with it. That's one of my biggest struggles is that I've had to deal with is the voice inside of my head that is always thinking I'm small, not really understanding who I really am, or not wanting to accept the responsibility of the power that I possess. So I played small-minded games, and that's what that voice is trying to do. It's trying to keep you down. It's trying to prevent you from really, or it's your excuse for not really putting yourself out there. So I have my purpose, which is so big and so massive that it pulls me out of caring what the voice says, because when you set your goals big enough, and they become so important to you, that voice becomes secondary. That's how I separate it. So my goals now, I'm very clear of who I am and what my agenda is. So just to name a couple, like one as the wife role, you know, I provide the support and the environment in which Grant can be in front of people to exchange his products and services so that people can win and create financial stability, legacy, freedom for themselves. So that's one aspect of what I do. Another thing is I'm looking to restore the family dynamic on this planet. I want to make relationships cool again. I want people to be able to look at us and what we're doing and see the value of two people working in a coordinated, collaborated effort to reach heightened levels of success. You see, this purpose moves me.
I love that. I love that. Absolutely.
I have one more. You know, the other thing that really moves me is, you know, I want to empower women. I want to be the face of the women empowerment movement where women are empowered to power themselves. Power, the definition is the capacity or the ability to influence the behavior of others. So if a woman can actually own their true power and change their own decisions and own behavior within themselves, and then to be able to go home with their spouses and influence their behavior to achieve their goals and their dreams and be winning together, and then to forward that to their kids so that they're helping their kids be empowered to make the right decisions, and then to go to the communities and then to the planet, I feel like women could really take responsibility for the condition of this planet and destimulate what's going on and actually help people to change the trajectory of this planet for the better. So you understand how big of a goals these are when that is really what is inside my heart and my passion and what drives me. When I hear the voices in my head that says, you know, oh, well, look, you're a nobody, you're not on world communication lines, you're not as whatever the BS is that you tell yourself. Those voices become irrelevant to me because I am crazy enough and I have the audacity enough to believe that I just might have a chance to pull off my goals and my dreams. So when those voices go off, it's too important for me. I'm not just thinking about myself. I don't have the luxury to be greedy enough to care about how I feel and my stupid voice, because if I do this, then it opens the door that says all these other little me's can achieve it too. So I'm not doing this just for me anymore. I'm doing this because I have to, because I want to change the condition, and I need to be there for other people to be able to see that it can be done. So you understand why it shifts? Because that is no longer relevant. It does not matter if I'm nervous, have cotton mouth when I go to a speech, or whether I don't want to make a phone call, or that doesn't matter, because if I can change a life, if somebody in here can hear something and all of a sudden you can get along better with your family or your child, or you know, and you start winning and having better life, you're going to have less hate, you're going to spread it, and boom, we made a small little ripple on the planet for a difference.
I love that. Give a round of applause for that. Does everybody now, hopefully, I mean, we talked about this earlier. I hope everybody now understands the importance of purpose, right? When you've got something that big, you know, you can either focus on the opportunity or you can focus on the obstacle. You're going to get more of whatever you focus on. And with a purpose that big, to your point, who gives a shit? Like, the little stuff is just little.
I'm going for it. I mean, like, you know, I have less time on this earth than the amount of years I have, unless I can live to 100. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm on a race against the clock now. You know, we hit target 1, which was a billionaire. Yeah. Thank you. And you know, when you can applaud that in yourself, it tells me you can have that for yourself. And you know, that target alone wasn't, again, that was a target to show in the physical universe that we're doing it right, that we've eliminated the wrong people and wrong things. We've collaborated with the right people. Like those are symbols. Like $1 billion symbolizes that we've exchanged our products and services with enough people to amass that kind of wealth or statue or whatever you want to call that. It's a gauge. I need gauges. Like I can never win a Super Bowl ring. I'm never going to play on a football team. I mean, it's just not going to happen. But I can have trophies and Super Bowl rings of life, and that's what those markers are, because it says we are making a difference. You are out there. You are getting known. You are winning. I need things to see I am winning. Good job. Continue.
It's a way of keeping score.
Yeah.
I mean, the bank account's cool, but you got to have those milestones.
Yeah, you got to have those milestones.
I love the Super Bowl rings in my life. That was a real, yeah, I love that.
That's good, right? And you know, why is our next goal 10 billion? Why? You know, why? Because Grant and I need, if we want our products and services to reach 8 billion people, like we have big targets. We have big targets for a number of reasons. We can get into that later. That also, I don't want to segue. I'll come back to that if I remember it. But I have to get your attention. You will listen probably more likely to a billionaire than just anyone on the street, right?
Yep.
I mean, don't you?
Yep.
Like, that's what I always imagined before we hit this target, by the way. I always thought, I wanted to become a billionaire because I thought anyone would take my phone call, you know? So why 10 billion? Because if I do 10 billion, then I can certainly prove that every single one of you can reach 1 billion. See, right now I'm a billionaire, so I can prove that every single one of you can at least hit 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, 100 million. You know what I'm saying? Once you hit those numbers, then you understand there's no difference in work between 1 and a bunch of more zeros. It's just mindset, and there's certain little strategies probably that we know that you don't know, but if you did, you would shift things really quickly. So anyway. The other reason, and one of the first reasons why I told Grant that we had to become billionaires, the first reason was because when you understand who you're with and you believe in the person you're with, I'm his biggest fan and supporter, show active interest in the success of, to be with someone who doesn't see themselves for how big they are is extremely painful. Like, it was painful for me to see him playing small because he's not a small guy. So I'm like, you have to become a billionaire. I had met a few of them at the time, and they were not as good as Grant. They didn't have they don't have good products. They don't want all the little people to come up with them. I don't want to bash them because whatever. They're not cut from the same cloth that Grant and I are. Like, they're just not my people. Like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to fit into that world. And I thought, you know what, if we can do it and other people, we can keep the curtains open and other people can do it with us, I want to be with my people, not those people. Not that anything's wrong, it's just a different cloth, you know? So that was number one, you know, to get Grant thinking in terms of his magnitude. The order of magnitude, which was Grant, and my job was to make him accept responsibility for who he was and to go walk the world stage. That's one. Number two was, when you're with a type of person that has that kind of power and capacity and doesn't know it, their game, because they are big and ferocious and have a lot of energy, and if it is not directed on a $1 billion target, the object of that force of energy will be me. And so greedily, I was like, I am not your enemy. I am your partner. I'm on your team, buddy. That's the new goal. Go!
I was always, you know what? You shared that the last time we talked, and I find that is probably one of the most fascinating things about the reason why I wanted you to be here. It's just the simple fact that I don't know that a lot of people know that, of how big a force you were into actually making that not only the goal, but really pushing Grant Cardone of all people.
Oh, he was furious.
Yeah, I mean.
Furious when I told him that. He was, you know, You know, you have to be willing to take it, you know? You have to be willing to take it. You know, there's some things you should know about giving a goal like that to a guy like that. First of all, it was met with a lot of resistance. When is enough for you? You're not the one that has to push and shove and hammer. You get to have all these ideas. It's me that has to do everything. Oh my God.
The same way.
I don't do Grant impersonations very well. But he was angry, he was furious. But I was willing to take it because I needed to take responsibility with the fact that I put that on him without explaining to him where I was going and what the goal was. And what else were we saying?
No, I mean, it's fascinating to me that, I mean, again, we've talked about this before, that, you know, Grant is certainly the one of the two of you. He's way out in front, as you mentioned. He is the kind of the more of the face that's sitting out there, certainly gets a lot of the attention, but knowing that behind the scenes, which I had never known until you told me, that you were the one that put that on him. I mean, to know that somebody so powerful is sitting out there and somebody's behind the scenes saying, but you're not as powerful as you could be. You are more powerful than you actually believe you are, even right now.
Right.
I find that to be extremely exciting. And I mean, it's fascinating.
And this is what I was gonna say before, you know, I choked myself to death. Is that you can't demand something of your partner as big as that. You need to become a billionaire and expect to also then at the same time expect him to cater to your every need. So that was, you are going to become a billionaire. I will support you to do that. What does that entail? That means you will have to probably work your ass off. So that comes with, I can't say become a billionaire and then say, when are you coming home? And why haven't you spent enough time with me? And when are you gonna turn off your electronics and we're gonna hold hands and watch movies, you know, to prove that you love me? So there was a lot of sacrifice phase in that because it's one or the other. You can find a way to mix both, but for the first 10 years while I was supporting him in this mission, it was, what do I have to do in supporting you to facilitate us getting there? So, you know, it does come with sacrifices and a little bit of consequences, but I was willing to do that and support that because the mission was so big and so important to both of us. We had our couple's goals. I have my goals, he has his goals, and we have who are we as a couple that was senior to like my individual goals and his individual goals. Now in part 2 of our relationship, and I'm not saying to do this or this is the right way, I'm just telling you how it worked for us. For us it was, there wasn't, you know, a whole lot of take-off time. Everything we did, if there was a dinner, a birthday, an anniversary, it was always who's gonna be there, how do we collaborate, how do we get to the next level, $1 billion, we wanna be known by 8 billion people, like we have to always be getting known, attention. We didn't have a lot of this, just our self-time.
Right.
So this part, now that we've hit that goal, now we're looking at things in the second part of, okay, now how can we hit the next level, but now how can we actually create a little bit more in the marriage to like do the really cool fun stuff. So I'm creating on that. This is a new area for us. Now, we never took the vacations before social media and before what you see our life now. There was 10 years of like real sacrifice phase. It's what are you willing to give up in order to get where you want to be? We paid a very big price in order to pay, as Grant says, any price now. And so we were willing to make those sacrifices. Now we have everything that we want financially. Now we're going for spiritual play, but now it's also about, okay, now how do we have fun? And so on Sunday, we're going to the south of France.
Oh, I love
We're bringing some Brandon and Natalie, our business partners, with us, our children, and we have a lot of really cool, for 2 weeks, just like.
Because you can.
Because we can. And it's like really like, this is a new experience for us to just be able to like, I don't even know if we'll like it. I'm sure we'll be doing work, because I like work. Work is the basis of morale. I feel good when I'm working. When I produce and I feel competent, like that to me is funner than just like sitting on a beach for 13 days and doing nothing. Like I don't feel good about myself. So I'm sure I'm gonna squeeze in work. I'm already like, okay, who can I meet in France? I'm you know, with EXP Realty. I'm like, how can I meet other agents? Like I gotta combine it.
Right.
But for the most part, my long-winded story was, now we have a little bit more create time. And my point to that was, you know, when you make demands of somebody, also understand that there are ramifications and sacrifices. Y'all have to decide as a relationship where you want to go, who y'all are as a couple, what your purpose is, who does what, how you're going to get there, and just, you know, really have each other's back and go. When Grant and I started to do that, I mean, we didn't just take off. I mean, we just started going into the stratosphere. I didn't realize how much we were holding each other back by not being coordinated.
Let me ask you a question about that. So as it relates to coordinate, let's say it a different way. You guys clearly had a plan at some level, right? I'm sure you've had to pivot along the way. How important has the plan been? I mean, keeping your communication and your alignment where it needs to be.
Very important. I mean,
wow, sorry.
That's okay.
I tried to cover the mic, it didn't work.
It's really important. You know, Grant and I used to have these weekly meetings. It always started off with, when are we going to make it? When are we going to make it? That just stopped about 6 months ago.
When are we going to make it?
When are we going to make it? When are we going to make it? And then it was always just reestablishing where we're going. Where do we want to be? Who's in our life? What does our life look like? How is it modeled? What do we have to do? We were just always working side by side, having each other's back.
It wasn't just, hey, I wonder what we're going to do today. It was like, no, we're executing on something.
No, we don't. You know, we don't do a lot of loaf time. This will be like a loaf time trip, but it's an earned. Amen. And this is like an earned loaf time. It's also make firm the wins, ignore the losses. Like, it's very important to make firm the wins. We've had some phenomenal wins. We've overcome a lot of barriers, a lot of counter intention, a lot of people who are actively interested in holding us down. Like, one of the biggest things I've had to confront is evil people exist. And usually the worst and the hardest kind for me to confront is that they smile and they're in your inner camp. I can deal with haters when I know where it's coming from and who they are. I know how to plan and plot that quite easily. I know how to navigate myself around that. Usually I don't like to address it. I don't like to flow at power because they're parasites just trying to suck on our power. I usually just try to navigate away from that. But the most damage can come from within the empire. You know, they poisoned the wells. That came from an expression back in the, you know, Empire days when they used to fight on the fields. They would have the person in the inner camp. One of the soldiers actually poisoned the well to make the soldiers sick, so when they were on the battlefield, the other side could overcome them easily. So to me, the hardest thing is to confront that evil people exist and are actively interested in harming you. So, you know, I don't know where I was going.
No, that's good. That's good.
It's
along those lines, let me kind of just divert here for a second. I think this is important. So we are heading into a time where, specific in real estate, but in the economy in general, you know, some people are, there's doubt, right? There's some people that are probably facing some obstacles that they have not had to face in the past. I know that you guys had to face your own obstacles, right? You mentioned earlier, Grant, you guys are scared of it. Talk to us about, you know, what it looks like to kind of face those demons, get punched in the face and have to figure out a way to stick together, overcome, and not only overcome, but ultimately thrive?
Well, you know, Grant loves the haters and loves the enemies. I don't. But I will say this about them. Every time we've had a hater, it gets me so fortified with Grant. I become, you know, that's just one of my things. I'm very protective. That's one of my roles in our relationship. And so, you know, I don't like them, but I do welcome them because I actually get fortified with Grant even stronger, and it makes me less likely to want to fight him because now I have the target. You know, you need your barriers, you need your haters. They keep you like focused together fighting. So I do that. Now, during other moments of, you know, getting the wind knocked out of you, you know, you got to know your own weaknesses and what you do in those moments. So I'm different from Grant, but I know my weaknesses. My weaknesses is I want to stop, I want to procrastinate. In the past, I've wanted to excessively drink alcohol, you know, the druggy thing years and years and years ago. Like I would use those things to go in a negative way. You got to know that about yourself. So when these things happen to me, I have a whole list of things ready to do that I'm going to do instead, because I step outside of my life so that I'm not effective my life. So when I get sucker punched and I know, oh, I feel bad, I want to withdraw, I want to attack people, I want to this, I want to that, I go straight into action. How can I self-enhance right now? How can I do more actions? How can I flourish and prosper? How can I get my face out even more? Which might be normal, like that might be normal for Grant's response, but it's not for me. My normal response is, fuck it, I'm out, you know, I'm out. And I've let that stop me for so long, you know?
Yeah.
And now I just dig in. So recessions, haters, things that don't go my way, I just use it now to even go more and more. And I just, like, you know, I'm just so drilled in on that. It was a muscle that I had to practice for so long, but now I have built-in discipline. I do it anyway, and regardless of, I don't care. So those type of things that scare me are dangerous for my enemies, because I just get more determined to flourish and prosper and make everything I've ever done look like child's play. And I'm in a new, rejuvenated space for that right now. Like, especially, there's a lot of, you know, signs of success. You know, they come out, they want to get you. And there's a lot of attacks against my husband right now, a lot of clickbait videos. And I'm like, bring them the F on. Oh, wait till you see what I got brewing. And I'm just looking for opportunities and collaborations. And I'm in such a, you know, such a good space now. I used to have those enemies, and again, I always go to attack mode, and I want to kill people, and I train 3-gun. I compete in 3-gun, tactical, shotgun, rifle, pistol, and I train MMA. I'm terrible at it, but I still train it. I got a good elbow. You know, so my instinct is I want to kill people, and then I learned I can't kill people. Like, that's not an answer, and I really do.
You had to learn that?
I literally had to go through that in my head. I'm like, you know what? I'm not looking good in jail. Like, I need my hair, I need my nails, I need makeup, I need my little things that I can't talk about because I'm a girl, but you know, Botox. I need shit that if I go to jail, it's not going to work for me. So the answer to that is to flourish and prosper. And I learned out of all of that when I flourish and prosper, legitimately, the evil intentions and the hatred that I might have once felt literally goes away. And then I actually end up having compassion and understanding for the injustice or whatever happened. And, you know, the more that I can contribute in a positive way and make a difference for the better on this planet, it just becomes like a win-win for me. Like, it just heals me. It heals me.
You said something to me a long time ago that I've never forgotten, and I've repeated often, that you cannot build and destroy at the same time. If you're focused on
That's true.
going and destroying something, it's really hard to be building,
That's
if not
right.
impossible. Never forgotten that. And that's basically what you're saying right here.
That's right.
That when you're getting hit, I mean, you can either take the punches and, go after the enemy, or you can focus on how do I get better? How do I put the wind at my back and go make something happen with this?
Well, and normally these people that want to see you fail, they want that because they can't produce any products. What I've learned is they can't produce any products for themselves. So their product actually becomes about like keeping you either the same or held down. And that becomes their product. That becomes what they value as their success.
Right.
And so...
yeah, it isn't about building themselves up. It's just about trying to tear you down. That somehow gives them some kind of power.
That's right. And so I look at, if I stop and I don't get our message out and I don't continue, then they win. Like they win. That side wins. The side that says you can't. The side that says be small. The side that says couples can't win. You know how many people would love to see Grant and I divorce? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I can relate.
You know what I'm saying? You know how many people, the side that says that couples can't make it. The side that says you can't be a billionaire and be happy. The side that says you can't be a billionaire and help people. If I stop and I don't continue to flourish and prosper, that side wins. So when these moments when I'm kicked in the gut happens, I look at it and I'm like, am I going to let them win? Because if I let them win, they would be so happy. And I'm like, no, I can't let them win. I'm fiercely competitive. And I'm like, when you know in your heart that essentially I know I'm a good person. I know I mess up, but I also know I have the courage to face my consequences and make changes to make myself better and deal with it and take responsibility for, whatever damage I may have caused. But I know I'm a good person, and I know what I'm fighting for the last remaining of my life is to make a difference and make an impact in this life. So I won't stop. I'm never going to let them kick me and keep me down. Ain't no way.
I love that. So I know that I know the way you feel about this, but I want to kind of share it with everybody that, it's not just you and Grant. There's a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of people that have helped you guys get there. There's a lot of people you've helped bring along on your journey. How important is the whole team, the whole network, all the people that are around you? How important is that to your mission and who you guys are and ultimately your success?
Oh, it's vital. Like, again, nobody builds an empire alone. And it was, Grant said this, his greatest mistake, our greatest mistake is not collaborating with enough people sooner, thinking that we have to compete rather than collaborate. And I heard Brandon Dawson, our business partner at Cardone Ventures, say collaboration is the new currency. Every single person that I come across, and I'm the visionary, so every single person that I come across, I'm like, I'm looking into the future. Is there something that we can do to collaborate to make us, like my whole thing, right, is what is love, right? Whether it's platonic or not. For me, I figured out love is helping someone achieve their goals and their dreams. So I'm looking to collaborate with you, show you acts of love, help you achieve your goals and your dreams. And that's got to be mutual, right? So we're helping each other achieve our goals and our dreams. It's help and be helped. It's very sane to help and be helped. I think you'll find that the people you don't like the most, it's because you've had some sort of failed help for them or you can't help them.
I love that.
It's vital. It's vital. You just can't do it on your own. It's the power of two. It's the power of the team. It's the power of the many.
How do you go about? You have people coming at you every day. I'm sure every week. Everybody wants a piece of you or Grant. What's your process for understanding and vetting those people, and who's worth your time? Who's worth collaborating with?
Very good question. Of course, I have my answer because I know what I do. We have our purpose, right? So I'm not steered away on that. So if something comes to me or to Grant, is it on our purpose lines? Does it fit in the structure with our purpose? That's the number one thing. If it's not on my purpose line, I'm not doing it. I can give you examples, whatever, but I think you understand. The second thing is I have my core values. I know who I am. I know how hard I've worked to be where I am. I know how hard I'm working to become my future self. And I don't compromise my integrity. It's one of the things. The next step after the purpose is, are our core values aligned? Are you trustworthy? Are you honest? Are you accounts oriented? Are you, results oriented, accountable? Are you competent? I'm looking at your stats, not what you're telling me, your true stats. I look at how you are with your relationships. Are you cheating on your spouses? If you cheat on your spouses, like, you're cheating on me for sure. You've given up on yourself. Like, how do you I'm looking at so many different things to vet them. I'm looking at a lot. I have so many checklist items.
I love this.
I'm looking at, what is the communication cycle like? When I ask you, what color is the table? The communication cycle that I like around me is very fast and accurate. If I say, what color is the table, and you say white and gold, immediately I know you can communicate to me accurately. I'm looking also, what color is the table, and all of a sudden you say, well, it's got a little bit of white and gold, and I don't know where the table came from. It might have come from so-and-so. Even though you're talking, you're not answering the question. It tells me things about you. It tells me that you can't just answer a question. It's got to go through this whole circuitry in your mind before it arrives at an answer. I'm not going to work well with you in a business relationship like that. When I say, hey, I need the actual information, like duplicated. Like, I don't need the figure, oh, it might be this, or like, it's yes or no. I just know how I work.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at communication cycles. I'm looking at, I might look at the condition of your car. Is it all banged up? How do you treat the things around you? How are the people around you doing in your life? Like, I don't want to be around a bunch of broken people. I've been broken. Like, I have no judgment on broken people. You can be on the outskirts. You can't be an inner circle. Like, sorry, I can't compromise. I have a whole empire I'm trying to protect. I need assets around me. I need an asset. You're either an asset or a liability. Every single person that comes into our life is vetted. Are you an asset or a liability? Like, if you're doing, excessive drugs and alcohol, those people are problems. They're going to come with accidents. They're going to come with trouble, drama. I can't have it. I have, we have 800 plus staff. I have 10,000 investors depending on us. We need to make the right decisions every single time. I have a family that depends on us. I need to protect our space. I need Grant functioning, not being distracted. It's my job to create a distraction-free environment. So I can't have or work with somebody that comes into me that's going to slightly bring in a liability. My ethics level and standard is really high. I don't drink alcohol. Haven't touched a drug since 2000. Like, my role in this is I have to safe point and guard us so vigorously so Grant can do what he does, and I can't afford to not be sharp, not be perceptive, not pick up on a red flag, I can't afford that for a second. I can't afford to be down with a hungover the next day. I can't afford to compromise my integrity even a smidgen. Because if I compromise my integrity, then I can't call you out for not being accountable. Because if I'm doing something wrong, I can make allowances for you. I can't do that in the world that we live in and where we want to go and the difference that we want to make. It's got to be, and every single person has to be extremely ethical, walk in the light. The reason Grant and I can keep our curtains open and a lot of wealthy people can't and don't is because they want to hide something. Look, we're not hiding anything. Grant's not perfect. I'm not perfect. But when you walk with integrity and in truth and honesty and authenticity, and people can read that and they can see our flaws, but you're not finding anything that I have hidden. You're not finding drug problems. You're not finding me beating my children. You're not finding me cheating on my husband. You're not finding it. It's just not there. We have nothing to hide. Like, you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. You see me probably trying to, Grant, did you have to say it like that? I'm trying to always, that's another thing. I have the role in the relationship of the PR. So Grant's the frickin' bull in the china shop, and I want him to be him. I'm not trying to control him, but I'm also trying to, because again, I'm his biggest fan, I'm trying to have him not alienate himself from a group of people who might misunderstand his conduct or his actions because he comes across harshly. Because we're trying to reach, remember, we're trying to reach 8 billion people. So if you're trying to do that, why are you alienating people by phrasing it this way? So I run a very delicate line of, you know, how he sees it as I'm his corrections officer and I'm always telling him what to do. And, you know, and he hates that. And I hate being that person. But at the same time, I can't compromise my integrity. If I can make him better and make us better and who we are, I throw it out there. If he bites on it, I see him change. You know, I'm willing to, you know, have the attacks or the humiliation when he gets up on stage and is like, oh, do any of you have a wife that corrects your driving? Or anyone corrects she'll correct 5 things in my speech today. I'm willing to, like, bear that, you know, bear. I'm glad I brought up that word. Because, you know, that is my superhero. That's my thing. And I'm proud of that. I am a very good support. If I support you, if I'm on your team, you're winning. Support. Show active interest in the success of. Who doesn't want that? Support also means strong enough to bear the weight of. It's like a support beam. I'm strong enough. And who did I have to become strong enough to bear the weight of a Grant Cardone and everything that comes along with that? So I have no apology for being the support in our relationship.
That's amazing. Well, clearly, I mean, you've achieved amazing success at in a lot of different areas of your life. Like you mentioned earlier, you know, the modeling, the acting, the shooting, the MMA, the business, et cetera. You clearly know at some level what it takes to be successful. Mm-hmm. Right? And so if you were trying to distill it down, you know, talked about a lot here, but if you're trying to distill it down and you were sitting here sharing it with somebody like, look, here's 3, 5, whatever it is, 2 things that I can tell you for sure are the key ingredients as far as your experience, right?
There's so many, my God.
Yeah, I want to hear them all.
Well, commitment, you know, just commit to becoming successful. You know, if you fail, recommit. Like, another key to being successful is, you know, I don't do back there, I do there. Meaning, I live from the future. I live from the future. I let the future pull me. I used to be in the past and lived out of the past. And for some reason, I quit that. So
what do you mean by that?
I mean that I used to be in the past, like...
Bring up old shit?
Yes, and I used to, like, that's not going to work for me. Why would I invest in that workshop? That one didn't work for me. Or why would I, you know, like all my failures and, you know, why would anyone believe me from back then?
Right.
I've never been able to do anything myself or whatever. So one of the biggest things for my success is I paint my future. Who am I in 2 years? What does that person look like? What kind of a leader do I have to become? I want to become the face of this woman empowerment thing. That's a new thing for me. I'm not there yet. You don't look at me and say, oh, there's the face of the women empowerment movement. Maybe in 5 years from now, I can walk out on a stage and everyone goes, oh my God, that's Elena. She's the face of, like, you just know that. It's not something that's said about me. It's just what you feel, like my intention. Like, I want to be that, right? That's who I am in the future. When I walk into the room, everyone's like, holy shit, that's Elena Cardone, the face of the, so then I take that vision. Who's around me? What stats do I have? Have we hit the 10 billion? What did that take? You know, where do I have to be? How do I have to self-enhance? How do I have to grow, learn, blah, 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 blah. So then I look at all of that and then I take the steps to become that person that I want to be, who's more articulate, who's more powerful, who's in more stages, who has more of a voice, who's, you know what I'm saying? And I take those actions. That's a successful action for me.
Yeah.
Another thing to becoming successful is the discipline. You know, it's getting over your damn feelings. Like, I got over my feelings a long time ago. It doesn't matter how I feel. It's what do I have to do and how did I get my discipline in to do it anyway? I don't have motivation. I've never woken up with motivation. Like, some people are motivated. I'm going to the gym. Like, that's not me. I hate the gym. you know? I do it anyway because discipline gets me to have the confidence and trust in myself. Like, I've used discipline over and over and over to wake up at 6 a.m., to confront the guy with the cauliflower ears that that has given me black eyes, literally. Like, I've sparred with the guy with headgear and I still get black eyes. You know what I mean? Like, to confront doing that, like, something that makes me uncomfortable, but you know what? Over time, I'm never gonna be, I know that. I know I'm never gonna be a good martial artist. It's just not my cards. It's okay. What I've gotten out of that is the consistency and the discipline and trying to work this female body into something fierce that might stand a chance, like just making myself have that coordination and doing it over time tells me, wow, it gives me confidence and competency in myself. It makes me have integrity that I kept my word, that I did something that's not normal for me. It's not foreign. I mean, it's totally foreign for me. And so now what happens for me is when I say, I'm going to become a billionaire, the world doesn't laugh at me. They're like, oh yeah, she's gonna do it. When I say I'm gonna build a 100,000 person organization with EXP, and I've only just become a realtor a year ago, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's people laughing behind my back, I don't know. But I think most people think, oh yeah, it's gonna happen. I mean, it's just a matter of when. And that's what I've been conditioning myself, not just with the MMA, but with everything. That's what I've been conditioning myself, that when I say I'm gonna do something, like literally the seas part, because the world gets out of my way. It doesn't wanna mess with me. It's gonna go mess with the other person that life can screw over and make effect. It comes to me and it's like, oh, it's that, biatch again, screw it. Like, I'm not going up against her because they look at me and they're like, the universe is like, screw it. Like, it submits.
I love that.
Because I'm going to do it no matter what. And that's so important for success, is that discipline to do it and know that you're not always going to feel like you're winning and you're a superhero. Most of the time you're going to feel like a failure, and you're going to feel like you're not moving fast enough, and you're going to have these ups and downs, and that's all normal and part of it. And then one day you're like, holy crap, I hit 1 billion? How did that happen? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of a sudden you just hit a target and you're like, wow. I actually popped my guy in the face and gave him a little ding. Like, I never thought that would happen. It happened. There was a little teeny tiny mark on his face.
I love that.
It didn't turn into a bruise, but it was a mark.
Hey, you got your shot in.
I'm proud of that.
You got your shot.
I did.
Knows not to mess with you now.
Well, I don't know about that. But it's like,
so the discipline, I mean, I could not agree.
You gotta have the discipline. You're gonna be so far ahead of so many people with discipline alone.
Well, I think you said, what you said.
It's a tool. It's not like a burden. You see, I always thought, oh, discipline, like, I hate it. Life is so boring. I never knew it was a tool. It's a tool. Discipline is a tool that you use to, like, excel you way past your competition.
I love it. Last question here. What, probably a big question, but I think I know the answer, but what do you want your legacy to be, right? I mean, clearly nobody gets out alive. We all have an expiration date. At some point, they're going to write about you. They're going to talk about you.
Yeah.
There's going to be discussions with your children, grandchildren, on down the line, and millions, if not billions, of people out there talking about this is who she was, and this is what she meant to me. What do you want it to be?
I want it to be what I said earlier, which is like even scary putting it out there and even saying it, because right now, that voice that we talked about is like, oh God, that's so, like, how can you even have the audacity to say that? That's so ridiculous. But I just have to say it because I have to get used to just having it. But my biggest legacy would be if y'all would look at me and be like, wow, that was the face of the women empowerment movement. Women had a shift, like empowered their power and went home and actually changed the condition of their family for the better. And like, wow, like the world, from you know, women owning their responsibility and their power actually, you know, changed the trajectory of the planet from this dwindling spiral to like reversing it to where we could actually all flourish and prosper. And
I love that.
I just feel like if I had a hand in that, I won.
Amen. Well, I can tell you got a room full of people here and watching at home, and you got one right here that I have no doubt you'll absolutely achieve that.
Wow,
Everybody,
I
give Elena Cardone.
I could die happy. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.